Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Ionian Gaming. This is your host, Roz, and this is going to be episode 7 of the story of my life as told by me for my son, Roz Jr., aka Liam. Today's video, we are going to talk about my family a little bit, and there's going to be some, I guess, some warnings ahead of this video. There is going to be brutal honesty when it comes to my family. There is going to be talk of a death in the family, backfighting in the family. I got real Game of Thrones-ish earlier this year with my family. And so if this is a sensitive subject to you, I would recommend that you turn this video off now. If you continue through this video, I want to thank you, and I just ask that you be polite if you leave comments on it. That is it. So, earlier this year, my family experienced a couple of tragedies, for lack of better terms. My dad fell, and he broke his ankle, and it was bad enough that he had to get surgery, and he ended up in a nursing home for a little bit. During that time, my mother got sick, and when my mom got sick, it was bad. She ended up in the hospital, and then she signed herself out. She was okay. When I saw her the Friday she left the hospital, she looked 100 times better than she did the previous day. So anyway, Shannon, my sister, your aunt, took mom home and was spending Saturday with mom. I went to work. Dad was in the nursing home. Everything was about as normal as it could be. That Friday night, my mom decided to make kraut burgers, which, as you know, Liam knows about it, but you may not know what a kraut burger is. Basically, it is cabbage, onion, and ground beef cooked down, shoved into basically a small stromboli pocket, and baked. Okay, it's a native dish of my ancestors. You'll find it where a lot of my ancestors live out in Colorado. So it's a regional dish. If you haven't heard of it, it's really good. I may someday post the recipe, but it's not going to be today. About 8 o'clock that night, my mom decided she was making kraut burgers, and my sister was like, okay. And while my dad was in the nursing home, my dad's a hoarder. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He saves shit from everywhere. And I know this firsthand because he wouldn't let me throw away tax papers from the 1970s. I found my very first pay stub from Walmart in 1998. I found every detention slip I had ever received in high school. Every report card, everything was saved. So anyway, the next day I'm at work, and I guess mom was sick. Shannon calls me or texts me, and she's like, "Mom's really sick," and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't." It's not that I don't believe people when they say they're sick, but my family has this tendency that, oh, they're really sick and they're fine, or no, they're fine and then they're dead the next day. So anyway, it got to the point where my sister called me and let me know that they had called an ambulance to take mom to the hospital. And my sister Chris was listening on the scanner, and so my sister Shannon and Jay, your cousin Jeremiah, followed her to the hospital, and then they turned the lights on the ambulance. So to this day, we don't know what that really means. I think it was to get her there faster, but we're not 100% sure on that one. But Shannon texted me and said they turned the lights on the ambulance and the siren. And I'm like, what does that mean? And she says, I don't know. So I continued to work throughout my day. I went on my lunch break, and then Jay texts me and he says, you really need to come up now. So I did. I went up to the hospital. I went and talked to my boss, and I cannot stress this enough. I say a lot of shit about my employer a lot of times. But I'm very thankful for my employer. I work for Walmart, and I'm very thankful that they're understanding and gave me the time I needed to deal with the shit that I need to deal with. And for that alone, they're a fantastic company as far as taking care of their people. So anyway, I leave work early. I go up there. My mom, well, I meet my sister Chris is already in the ER waiting room. Shannon and Jay are in the back in the ER room with her. Chris came out and gave me a hug. Now, Chris and I are not the closest of siblings. As far as siblings go, I was always closer with my sister Jody than even your Aunt Shannon for the longest time. But it was always like Jody, Shannon, and then Chris. Chris was like the third closest sibling to me. And Chris came up and gave me a hug. And that was kind of out of character. And she shook her head. She was crying. She's like, it's not good. So I eventually go back there, and Mom is not in good shape. I thought she wasn't going to make it through the day. She's laying there in the hospital bed. We make a decision that I'm going to leave. I'm going to go drive to the nursing home, and we're going to, because Dad is technologically impaired to a spectacular degree. So we had made the decision that we wanted Dad to FaceTime Mom one last time because we thought this was it. So I rushed to the nursing home. Okay, I rushed to the nursing home. I get on my phone, Shannon gets on hers, we FaceTime Mom. Mom tells Dad that, take care of the kids. Make sure you take care of the kids. Which, obviously is something a parent would be their final direction to their spouse. When I saw Mom in the hospital, she said she was dying. And she looked really bad. I'm not going to lie, she did. She looked really, really bad. But with my family, that doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't. It's hard to describe my family in the process of dying unless you've gone through it with them, because we don't die normally. And I'm going to get into that piece of it too. So anyway, whenever Mom said her goodbyes to Dad, I called Liam's mom, called your mom. I was like, I need to get him up to the hospital to see Grandma one more time. And we went up there, and Liam gave her a hug, and which we thought was the last time. Next day, Mom's sitting up in the chair in her hospital room, and she is fine-ish. She's still sick and weak, but she's a lot better. She can breathe. She's talking. Goes on for a couple of days like this. She's on the road to recovery. By Thursday, they moved her to UPMC Hammett in Erie. And we don't know what the hell happened. But as soon as she got to Hammett, she downward spiraled. Badly. She wasn't able to take her pills. And at that point, Mom said, stop. My mom had an advance directive that said there was not going to be any heroics, any life-saving measures. Once she refused care, that was it. She was ready to go. And as power of attorney of both my parents, I have no choice as the son who has been granted this responsibility than to honor her last wishes. So while she's in Hammett, she's deteriorating fast. And we realize that, that Hammett's an hour and a half away from me, an hour and a half away from Shannon, almost 2 hours away from Chris. It's not feasible for us to see her every day. So we get her transferred back down to UPMC. Not that we think she's going to make it back to UPMC, but she does. She spent the next month almost in the hospital. We were fighting with UPMC. They wanted to move her into a nursing home. We were adamant that we did not want her into a nursing home. They were giving us other options, like we do not want to put her in a nursing home, but we can't take care of her at home. She needs 24-hour care. And eventually they gave us a solution of a hospice home, which was about a month later. They gave us this option of the hospice home, which I'm very thankful for. The Haskins House in Rocky Grove, fantastic facility. Can't say enough great things about it, even in Mom's short stay there. But that was our life for the next month. I was up there at least once a day seeing Mom. And then on weekends or my days off, I'd drive down and see Dad. Eventually, Dad was able to ride in a car, so I got him out. I broke him out of the nursing home. We drove up to see Mom, then I drove him home, or back to the nursing home. And we had made the decision, my sister Shannon and I, that we were going to let our other two siblings know, Kathy and Doug. Kathy and Doug flew out immediately. Kathy flew Doug out immediately, and they were out here within 2 days. Okay? When that was going down, Doug and Kathy tried to hijack the entire operation. They did not understand why the doctors weren't giving her more care. They didn't understand why we, as power of attorney, had discontinued all medications other than the pain relief ones. Comfort care only is what Mom wanted, according to her advance directive. It got pretty heated between us, but I refused to acknowledge their incessant ramblings about, my brother Doug's like, I got sick one time and they put me on amoxicillin and it cured me instantly. Fucker, this was a much more advanced stage infection that she had, okay? If you were a little bit smarter, you'd know how dumb you actually are. Kathy, same thing. She was going on and on and on and on about how, basically, in no uncertain terms, Doug too, more vocal about it, that in no uncertain terms that I was killing our mother. Your Aunt Shannon drugged me out of the hospital room that day. She drugged me she drugged me outside the emergency room and shoved a cigarette in my mouth and lit it. And I'm not proud to say this, but I'm also fortunate enough to know that cigarette probably saved your uncle's life. Believe it or not. The thoughts I had at that point were pretty dark and pretty freaking violent. Well, anyway, Kathy and Doug forced our hand on this one. They required they wanted to see this advance directive because they thought Shannon and I were really killing your grandmother for no other purpose than to cut them out of the inheritance. Now, this is where it gets Game of Thrones-ish here, but Mom, your grandmother, had 4 children before she married your grandpa, okay? Those 4 children were your late Aunt Jody, your late Aunt Jerry, your Uncle Doug, and your Aunt Kathy. And your Aunt Chris. Sorry, she had 5. My bad. And then when she married your grandpa young, she had me and Sham. The way my parents' inheritance is set up is if Mom died first. Everything went to Dad. And then when Dad went, it was split up between myself, Shannon, Shannon's two children, and you. Okay? If it was the other way around, if Dad died first, everything went to Mom, and then it was split up between the five of us, plus Kathy and Doug and Chris. I'm not going to get into the amounts, but let's just say it's enough of an amount that would make people do kind of stupid shit over. And I'm going to leave it at that. So, anyway, doctor finally relented. It's like, we need to see this power of attorney. So we go to the lawyer, we get the power of attorney, we come back, we throw the power of attorney at the doctor, and the doctor looks at me and says, "You don't have power of attorney." Okay. Shannon does. So, at that point, all the hatred shifted off of me and onto your Aunt Shannon from those two. Chris was a neutral party in between me and Shannon and Doug and Kathy. But it got to the point where it was bad. It was really bad. Your Aunt Shannon called me one night crying from the hospital and told me to get the fuck up there because she was ready to do some pretty violent things too towards the two oldest siblings. Eventually, because we were in a waiting game, we were like, okay, Kathy and Doug were going to go back home. I had taken a personal leave of absence from work so I could spend more time up there. Shannon had been working like 4 hours a day. Chris had taken a leave of absence. We'd all taken time off work to spend time with Mom. Kathy and Doug went back. We had discussed this before they went back. But Kathy was like, we were like, do you want the funeral at an actual funeral home, or are we going to have it at the Christian Bible or the Clarion Bible Fellowship Church in the mall in Clarion? Because if it's at a funeral home, they have the Wi-Fi access that they could have broadcast the funeral to people who couldn't make it. No. I'll be coming back for the funeral. It's okay to have it at the mall church. Like, okay. So we flash forward to the day Mom actually passed away. Your Aunt Chris and your Aunt Shannon are freaking saints, both of them. They spent almost every waking hour with Mom that they could. If it was my day off, I was there first thing in the morning after I dropped you off at school. I usually was maybe a half hour behind Chris, or I even caught Chris before she left. Chris spent almost every night with Mom at that hospital. And at the nursing home as well. Shannon spent several nights there. I did not spend any nights there. I had a child that needed to go to school, schoolwork, everything like that. It sounds like a really lame excuse. It makes me sound kind of like a bad person, but it's the way it was. I didn't spend any nights there. I volunteered on the nights I could, but Chris said no, she had it. Shannon said no, she had it. Also, during this time period, Kathy started making comments about our pastor from the Clarion Bible Church and a close personal friend of the family, Renee. And I took this personally. If you knew Pastor Gina, if you saw what Pastor Gina has done for my parents and with my parents through the church and everything, you would understand that there is not a malicious bone in Gina or Renee's body. They were not out to steal money from Mom and Dad. They were not manipulating Mom and Dad to do this. They weren't. These are things my sister said, not me. And I took all of them personally. Well, Gina used to be a waitress before she became a pastor. Jesus used to be a carpenter before he became the Messiah. I don't really think previous job experience can tell you if you can spread the word of God or not. And I did tell her that. I'm getting a little bit hot about it, so I'm going to try to take a deep breath and calm down. Chris spent every night that Mom was in the hospice home. She was only there a couple of nights. We took Dad to the hospice home as much as possible. Eventually, Dad got out of the nursing home and went back home. But after 31 days, Mom passed away. She went peacefully in her sleep. And I want to go back to that. I want to go back to that last previous statement that I was getting hot about, because I'm going to get fired up about it right now. So Gina came at least twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week, multiple times while I was there. I saw Gina more in that 30 days than I have ever seen. Let me also rephrase it. Let me also put this out there. I was not a every Sunday go to church type person at this point, okay? So I've gone to Gina services a couple of times, but the fact that Gina had shown up that many times for Mom, and she went to, I didn't stay very long at the nursing home, so I never saw if Dad had visitors or not. But Renee and Gina were visiting with him as well, and Renee came up constantly to the hospital too. So if you knew them the way me and Shannon know them, and Mom and Dad know them, you would feel really stupid about the things you said. Because in my eyes, and in Shannon's eyes, and in Dad's eyes, you did look really stupid about the things you said. There was one time Gina came up and asked Mom if she wanted her to read from the Bible. And I sat there for almost an hour while Gina read from scripture from the Bible. And I had to go pick up Liam. But Gina stuck around and continued to read scripture to Mom as comfort and preparing her for the afterlife. Now, your grandma, she was a character. She, the most scariest thing in my life that I have ever seen was your grandma chasing after me with a fly swatter, because I had done something to piss her off. The second scariest thing I've ever seen in my life is my mom when someone hurt one of her kids. And I cannot stress that enough. Mom, whenever one of her children were hurt, Mom got vicious. And I'm not going to talk about any of the stuff that she did here, because it's 30 years ago. Most of it's not admissible in court, and but due to YouTube standards and practices, I'm not going to say that your grandmother enlisted the help of people at a price to injure another individual who had hurt your Aunt Shannon. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that if you were on her shit list, you were on her shit list, and you were there for a very, very, very long time, if you ever got off of it. Mom passed away. We're getting the funeral going. Obviously, text Kathy and Doug. Doug's not going to come. Kathy now is not going to come. Kathy has a cat that has cancer, and she can't leave it. But she's going to watch the service on the wire or the Wi-Fi broadcast, and then we explained to her that there isn't going to be a service on a Wi-Fi broadcast because we are not doing it at a funeral home. Well, that's great. I can't come out to Mom's own funeral and blah 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 blah. Like, bitch, you knew. We discussed it with you. Shannon, Chris, and I were all in the room when you said, I will be back for the funeral. Go ahead and have it at the Clarion Bible Fellowship. Also, dying cat, that's great. I'm glad a dying cat is better than it takes precedent over your mother's funeral. I'm really happy about that too. See, the fact of the matter is this. For my entire life, 30, no, 49 years on this planet, okay? Do you know how many times I have seen your Uncle Doug after he graduated high school and moved out? Do you know how many times I've seen your Uncle Doug? 5. 5 times since 1983 I've seen him. 2 of them were this year. Puts it into perspective how close he was with your grandma. Oh, yeah, granted, he called. Oh, he did. He called. But the last time Mom and I saw him was in 2003 at my grandma Knespel's funeral. This is 2026. 23 years. It's been since either one of us had seen him. I wasn't close with your Uncle Jerry when he was alive, but I saw him probably 6 times in the last 20, as opposed to 5 in the last 43. Kathy, kind of the same thing. Mom always had to go out to Colorado. No one would ever come to Pennsylvania. Kathy did, though, start coming to Pennsylvania. She brought her grandkids out in 2011. So that's 2011. Then she came back at the end of 2012. No, 2013. She came back at the end of 2013 because your Aunt Jody was sick with cancer. She didn't come to your Aunt Jody's funeral either, by the way. Might have been a sick raccoon or something, I don't know. She did come out to your cousin Ashley's wedding, though. I didn't see her. We had a football game. A lot of people were like, you missed your niece's wedding for a football game. And as I tell everybody, of everybody in my family who would understand children's sports and being a sports parent, it would have been Ashley. Ashley missed the internment because she had a ball game she had to go to. I don't hold any resentment to her for that. She came to the funeral. So yeah, Kathy had been. I've seen Kathy. Kathy came out here like 4 times in the last 20 years. Well, 15 years. And I've seen her probably about as many. I've seen her slightly less or more than I've seen Jerry. But my point is, it was nice that they came out when she was near the end, and it was nice that they came out for the internment. But as my dad would say, it would have been nice if they showed up while she was alive, too. I'm doing this video because I want to point out certain things here right now when it comes to my family and my friends. And I know this is a saying from Supernatural, but family doesn't end in blood. And just because you're blood doesn't mean you're family. After the internment, I have decided that I have 2 sisters. And that's what I have left. I don't hold as much animosity towards Kathy as I do Doug. But there is still an awful lot of animosity there because of the way they behaved while Mom was in the hospital. I'm not going to go into a really hate-filled rant about my brother or my sister, but I am telling you the 100% God's honest truth of what did happen while it happened. We have the funeral. Chris is there. Me and Shannon are there. Obviously, Doug and Kathy aren't there. We have family and friends from two different churches. We have two pastors from the different churches. We have the Nursing Association of Clarion County that performed a small service before the actual funeral. We had family and friends from all over the place come to the viewing. My nephew Taylor and all his kids showed up before the funeral. My niece Ashley showed up. I spoke at the funeral. My funeral speech is on this playlist. Uh, I cut out quite a bit of it because some of the people that I had written about weren't there during the eulogy. So I did it on a fly. But the Great Beer Theft 2015, still one of my favorite moments with Mom. And I'm going to tell it real quick because I don't want you to flip over to that to see hear about the Great Beer Theft of 2015. So 2015, that summer, I had started drinking quite a bit, okay? And Liam, your mother and I had just split up. I was going through a bunch of shit, and which go into the video perfectly into the video of my marriage. But I noticed that there were beers that were missing from my house. I would buy beer, and I would drink beer, and I would be like, there's not as much beer as I thought I had. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, you got your brain pickled and you don't know how many beers you actually drank. No, that's not true. I lived by myself, and every other week, my 2-year-old son was with me. I know my 2-year-old isn't drinking the beer. So anyway, one Thursday, and in Oil City, farmers market was Thursdays in Oil City. So my mom was up here selling vegetables, etc. One Thursday, I just happened to be off work. And I'm laying on the couch in the afternoon. It's like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, about the time they wrapped up the farmer's market. I hear my front door open up. I'm laying on the couch. I don't even open my eyes. I kind of open my eyes. I see it's my mom walking. I don't say a word, though. She walks right past me while I'm laying on the couch, goes directly into the kitchen, opens up the refrigerator, takes 2 beers, and walks right out of my house. When confronted about this, I called her that day. I was like, Mom, are you stealing beer from me? And she's like, only on Thursdays. That's your grandmother, buddy. That being said, I had friends outreach to me and offer more condolences and offer more support to my family than 2 of my siblings did. I I have a lot of hatred in my heart for them right now, and it's still going on. And we are 1 week removed from the internment ceremony for Mom and my nephew George, who passed away a year and a half before her, almost 2 years ago. The people that showed up to the internment of my nephew George and my mother, obviously, there was me and my 4 siblings. My dad, okay? Then we had Sherry, who was George's TSA since 2nd grade. We had Cody, Will, and Tyler, 3 of George's best friends. We had Renee show up. We had Gina show up, who performed the ceremony, and her husband Wade showed up. An intimate group for the internment. Oh, my nephew Jeremiah, and obviously you were there too, Liam. Obviously, kind of a private affair with the small group at the graveside. Afterwards, there was a plan that we were going to go to the plaza for dinner. Now, originally, it was going to be just me, Kathy, Chris, Shannon, Jeremiah, and Liam, and my dad. Okay? And then Dad's like, just invite everybody. So she invited Will and Tyler and Cody. And then I invited Renee. Shannon invited Gina and Sherry and Wade. And whenever, and my sister Kathy couldn't help but make the comment, well, I thought it was just going to be us. John's inviting everybody. No, John's not inviting everybody, Kathy. John invited Renee, the one person, and you know, honestly, I wasn't doing it to be a slight to you, but I'm glad I did, because you said I invited everybody, but I only invited one person, and that's the person you think was trying to steal from our parents, and that is hilarious. Okay, so yes, I'm very happy that I'm the one that invited everyone. See, Liam, there's times in life where you're gonna get to the point where you're gonna find out that just because you share a mother or you share blood through your, I don't know if this is ever gonna happen. I pray it never happens between you and your sister, or between you and your mom. But you know, I'm gonna put it this way, especially when it comes to your stepdad. Your stepdad isn't your blood, but he is your family, and so is his family by default. I don't share blood with my friends that come over to watch wrestling. But I will tell you this. I am close with exactly 6 people. I have 6 friends. I trust all 6 of these people, and they are more brothers to me than my actual brother is. See, Corey, Cody, Mike, Ian, Planker, and Steve. These guys are family to me. Much like Sherry and Renee and Gina and Wade and Cody and Will and Tyler are family. They're family to us. If you were around more than once every 20 some years or so, you would see what was actually going on. And it just pisses me off that you missed so much of your mom's life and mom missed so much of yours. And I get it, you guys have your own lives and everything, but there was times you could have made the trip. Mom almost always made a trip once every 2 years, at least. The last time you were here, Kathy, was 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and that was just for a wedding. Time before that, you would only come out to see your sister. And Doug, don't even let me get started on you, because you dipshit, man. You'd call, yes, but that's not the same. What I'm saying is there's a lot of emotion still going on for me right now. And I just wanted to vent a lot of them, because that time period of my life was really rough. And the fact that I went from being the most hated person in the family to the second most hated, because I was second power of attorney. So again, it's they knew they couldn't manipulate me, so they didn't even try. But they tried to manipulate your Aunt Shannon, and she fought with it, and she knew what was going on. And me and her talked about everything, and we saw the manipulations. Well, maybe you could try this, or maybe you could try that. Whereas we were honoring Mom's living will. I do want to say this, though, and it really, I'm going to live with this for the rest of my life. Okay? And it pisses me off because he might have been right. When Doug said that we had killed Mom, and how long Mom lasted at the hospital, if I had any idea she would have lasted as long as she did in the hospital, I would have pushed harder against that advance directive. Because the longer mom lasted, the more it felt like I really did kill our mom. And that's something I have to live with. And so does your Aunt Shannon. And it sucks because it's not a weight I want to carry, but it is a weight I am carrying. I'm going to finish this video off by reading two things. So before she passed away, my mom wrote two letters. Okay? This one was to me. It's sealed. Okay? I haven't opened it yet. I don't even know if now is the right time to open it. But she also sent one to Liam. Okay? I'm going to read Liam's letter here from Grandma because I read it and it hurts a little bit. But to Liam, remember coloring Easter eggs and eating deviled eggs. Our evening prayer, angel of God, my guardian, to whom God loves, commit me to the everything. Commit me to this. Commits me here. Ever this night be at my side. To light to guard, to rule to guide. Remember to read your Bible. Know that Grandma loves you and will watch over you always. Read your Bible always. Keep God close to you. Remember your father for taking you out to breakfast. He is a good father. So, she wrote one to each of her kids and grandkids and one to Dad as well. And I'm going to do it. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to read this. I started reading it. I'm starting to tear up, so I'm just going to go. Okay? I love you. Thank you for all you've done. Being there when your dad had a stroke. Keep the Lord close to you always. You and Liam coming to all the dinners early. Getting your stuffing, taking Liam for breakfast. You're a good father. Go to church. Thank you for the speech at George's funeral. It was very touching. There are so many memories of you when you were growing up that mean a lot to me, good and bad. What the fuck's that mean, good and bad? Oh, that's. What the fuck? Like, I know that Mom and I have had bad times together and everything, and I don't know. I really don't know. Good and bad. It's not like I was a bad kid all the time. And honestly, bad memories for me don't hold special places. Well, I mean, they do. They hold special places in my heart, but not for good reasons. And then there's a second page, and this was all to all the children. Be happy. Go to church. Know that I love you. I thank you for watching this. I'm gonna digest this for a little bit. Again, thank you for watching. If you watch it the whole way to the end, I appreciate it. And if you do leave comments, just make sure that they're polite, please, because I don't want to have to rage on something one of you guys have done. Thanks for watching, guys.